Hey Chatling, optimism is so underrated, bro. This is one of my favorite topics to discuss because it's so underappreciated, yet so valuable and helpful for one's mental health. I hear this sentiment a lot, which is, what am I doing, bro? I'm trying to fix my chair, but it looks like I'm just. A lot of people tell me something similar to the following. I like to have a negative outlook. I like to be pessimistic because if I always expect the worse? Can you tell I'm filming at midnight? If I always expect the worst, then I'll never be disappointed. Now, you may be correct. If you always expect the worst, you're not going to be shocked by a negative outcome. But if you always expect the worst, you are also going to set yourself up for failure more often. If you have a chronically and intensely pessimistic mindset, that is going to impact the way that you perceive the world, in addition to impacting your actions. Always expecting the worst is going to make you view life through a lens of negativity. Let me use an example to further illustrate this point, okay? Let's say you're going for a walk. Now, you could look at this walk and be like, ugh, this is such a bore. I'm walking with no music. I can hear cars. It's a bit overstimulating. This truly is a bore. I wish I had something to do. I wish I had somebody to walk with. What if I could be doing other things right now instead? You could look at it with a pessimistic mindset and try and identify all the ways in which it could be a bad thing. That is going to shape how you perceive that event. Events, your perception, your experience in this corporeal realm on this planet is shaped by your perception, by your brain. Your experiences are what you think they are. So, on the contrary, on that walk, you could think, wow, I'm so grateful to have the free time to go on this walk. Yo, the sun is shining. I'm grateful for the weather. I'm grateful that I'm getting out here and moving my body. This is beneficial for my physical and my mental health. And I'm happy that I put in the work to do that. You can always look for positive things and you can always look for negative things. I have heard this before, which is that there is infinite good and infinite bad in the world. And where you look can directly impact your sanity, your mental health, your levels of optimism, which do impact your life. Now, I kind of described how optimism can impact your thinking with the walking example. If you're always looking for negative, you will find negative. That's called the negativity bias. And it has an evolutionary explanation that I also love to talk about. So negativity bias is when we are designed to look at the negative and ignore the positive. That is what negativity bias is, basically. And the evolutionary explanation that I love to bring up is, imagine you are faced with a beautiful, lush meadow, a field. There's fruit, there's flowers, it's just amazing. But in the middle of all of that beautiful foliage, there's a tiger sitting there. It doesn't matter how much good there is in that meadow. You are not going to enter because there is one very prevalent threat, a tiger. That is a wonderful example that portrays the reasoning, evolutionarily speaking, behind the negativity bias. But today, we are not foraging for berries. We are not going into the wild to get food. We are not faced with animals that are predators that are looking to kill us. Most of us are just living in an apartment or a house, and if we want food, we go to the grocery store. We do not go out and hunt. So, the negativity bias, it doesn't really serve us anymore. It doesn't really serve us. And one way that you can potentially improve your well-being is to become cognizant of the negativity bias and to try and push against it. Try and consciously fight back. If you can feel it working, if you can notice the negativity bias, try and just consciously plant a seed of opposition. And one way that you can do this, for example, planting a seed, would be journaling. Journaling 3 good things that happened in a given day. This forces you to bring your attention to positive things rather than just dwell on the negative. Now, I've talked about the reasoning behind the negativity bias. I've talked about how it can impact your perception, but another thing, it also impacts the actions you take. This shouldn't come as a surprise because, again, perception is everything. So, of course, if negativity and pessimism impacts your perception, it's going to impact your actions. But once again, let me give you an example to illustrate what I'm saying. Imagine you are socially anxious. And I'm sure for a lot of you, you don't have to imagine. Imagine you're really pessimistic about socializing. You think that you're just really awkward, you think that you're going to mess up. It gives you a lot of stress and anxiety, and as a result, you are very pessimistic about it, about socializing, about going to parties, about hanging out with people in general. Because you are so pessimistic, if you're faced with something like an invitation to a party, chances are you are going to reject it. Chances are you are going to listen to your negative thinking. You're going to honor it in your decision making. And you might think, well, if I go to the party, I'm just going to embarrass myself. I'm just going to be awkward. I'm not going to make any friends. It's just going to be a waste of time. I don't want to make myself miserable, so I'm just going to stay home. I don't want to disappoint myself, right? Because I'm always expecting the worst. And if I go to this party, then I know it's just going to suck. So I'm just going to stay home anyway. But chances are, if you were to go to that party with a more optimistic mindset, you might meet someone. Regardless of whether or not you meet someone, you're going to gradually sharpen your social skills. Even one party. That's one chance to improve your social skills. One chance to get more comfortable with interacting with people. Who knows? You could have met somebody that could become a best friend. Like, you never know what's going to happen. Putting yourself out there in life is one of the most beautiful things that you can do. It's one of the most rewarding things that you can do. And when you're pessimistic, it is easier to become closed off and to stay in this little box of comfort and expect the worst and therefore reject opportunities that could have benefited you and could have actually brought you great joy. Yes, there is an element of risk, but what is the contrary? If you are pessimistic and you stay home and you just never go out because you know it's going to suck, you're not going to improve. You are going to stay miserable. You are going to stay stressed and worried and anxious when it comes to socializing in this example. In my opinion, it is always better to be courageous and to be optimistic. I'm going to try this thing. It's going to be good for me. It might be scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to be optimistic about it. Even if I go there and I'm just not very good in the conversations, this is something I'm familiar with. I am quite autistic. I'm not a great socializer. But even if I kind of mess up in conversation, keep that positivity, keep that optimism. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if you're awkward, bro. Even if you literally bend over to pick something up and your pants split in half and your ass cheeks are on display for the entire party, nobody's gonna remember that like 3 weeks from now. Truly, life is not as bad as you think it might be. We are often very pessimistic. We think other people judge us more than they do. At the end of the day, our perception is what shapes our life. Seizing opportunities with courage and passion and excitement will always lead to greater success, greater happiness. It is true that expecting the worst will protect you from disappointment. It will also protect you from growth, from blessings, from pursuing opportunities that will greatly benefit you. It'll protect you from joy. So, I hope you understand my point. I love yapping about optimism. I love whimsy. I love happy people, bro. Every time I look in my Discord server and I see someone that's super optimistic and happy and bringing everyone up, I love that. It's so awesome. We need more joy and love in this world. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Make sure to be kind to yourself and take care of yourself and follow my Twitch. Okay. Bye, twin. Mwah.